thing about Joseph that I like the most is he's nothing like me. Okay? Because if my brothers threw me in a pit, I don't know how much I would love God. I'll just be honest. I don't know because I've never been thrown in a pit. But I don't know that I would have hung on as long as he did, because that's not all that happened to him, was it? Some of his brothers wanted to kill him. Ooh. You know? How many of y'all have siblings? Have siblings, yeah. How many of you have siblings that pick on you a little bit? If my brother was here, he'd have to raise his hand. I gave him 3. But I don't think any of them, maybe sometimes they might threaten to hurt you, but none of them have probably seriously thought about killing you. Okay? Don't answer that if they have. Because that means you did something that caused them to want to do that. But, you know, I never had that. You know, I had some kind of threat to hurt me because I wouldn't leave them alone. But I've never been thrown in a pit. So they threatened to hurt him. They threw him in a pit. Then they decided, you know what, we won't kill him. We'll sell him into slavery. You know, we'll sell him into slavery. We'll make a little money off our brother. So they sell him into slavery. And so he becomes a slave in Egypt. He becomes second in power under that master. And then he gets thrown in prison. Gets thrown in prison. Now, I know for sure, a selfish guy like myself, I probably would have been like, you know what? I'm tired of all this bad stuff happening to me. I'm going to start looking out for number one. But Joseph didn't do that. Joseph kept praising God. In fact, God kept blessing him with these visions and meanings to these dreams that these guys have. You know, he's in there with 2 guys and they have dreams. And Daniel says, you know what? My God can tell you what those mean. And he tells them and they get out of prison. And one of them gets out of prison and he says, all y'all want you to do is to remember me when you stand before Pharaoh in Egypt. And can somebody tell me if the guy remembered him right off the bat anyway? Yeah, it's like 2 years later he remembers it. You know, if I'm Joseph, I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, I got you out of prison. You forgot about me for 2 whole years until you needed me. But Joseph doesn't have that attitude. And that just amazes me, because I don't know that Coach Creasy would be that way. You know, I'd kind of be throwing myself a pity party, like, you know, God, I love you and I served you, and you just keep leaving me in prison. What's the deal? You know, but he doesn't have that attitude, and guess what Joseph gets blessed with? Some of you have already said it. He becomes second in command of all of Egypt. Okay? Now, you got to understand, Egypt, at that time, was the most powerful country in the entire world. In the entire world. Because remember the famine? You know, that's one of the dreams. There's going to be this famine. And the only place there's going to be food is Egypt. And when there's a famine and there's no food, guess who becomes the most powerful? The people who have the food. It just kind of works that way. Okay? And so not only is Joseph second in command of Egypt, but for a large part, he's second in command over the entire world to some degree. Okay? Everybody knows about Egypt. It was almost sort of kind of like being the vice president of America, you know. It was a superpower, you know. And he had to wait a long time for that. But Joseph's attitude says, you know, it was worth it. It was worth it. And it wasn't even about being second in command because he loved God that much. Now the question is, are you growing in your love for God that much? That no matter what happens, you still love Him. You still praise Him. You still honor Him. Even when things happen that you don't necessarily agree with. And guys, we ask you to pray about stuff all the time. Things that we don't understand as teachers that are going on in the world. But we all know that God has a plan. And that we play a part in that plan. And that's a blessing in itself, guys, to be a part of the family of God. Y'all understand that? Yeah, y'all have some good families. But the greatest family you can ever be a part of is not the RCA family. It's not a team. It's not any, but a part of the body, the family of Christ, of God. And that's what Joseph stayed focused on. Did his family treat him great all the time? Anybody? No. You know, if your family, the best thing you get treated is thrown in a pit, we need to have a talk, okay? Or sold into slavery. His family didn't treat him all that great, you know. They didn't treat him good. And yet, he knew he was part of the family of God. And that's what he focused on. Great attitude. Great attitude. One that I need more of. Okay? One that I need more of. I hope that none of you have bad attitudes. Okay? Maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. I'm not even really sure what that means. But that's kind of what we call it, right? When we have a bad attitude, somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Some of you are like, I know what it means. I can show you right now. And sometimes I have that. You know, there's days where Miss Whitney may think, Travis woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But it's a choice. You know, you choose today. You got to choose right now. Am I going to have a good attitude or a bad attitude? You've got a choice in that. I hope that you choose the good attitude. We got some good teachers here that may help you with that bad attitude and encourage you